Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Big Screen Show. My name is Victor,
I'm Alex.
and we're back bringing you guys another review. This time, straight to streaming. A controversial one, some people might add. Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2024 TV show on Amazon Prime. Alex, I want to get general thoughts first, but I want to ask you this question. You can go ahead with your general thoughts off of this question, but were you excited for this?
I was actually intrigued because when I saw the trailer, like in the news, I was like, really? And I was like, oh wow, my goodness. I was completely surprised. And then, I wasn't really expecting much. I thought it was like gonna be like a pretty good. I didn't think it was good. It would like be better than like the 2000 movie with Brad and Angelina,
Right.
everything. But then after a while, when I found out about the show and got more intrigued by it, I also found out that this is actually like the second the second remake of Mr. and Mrs. Smith
Really?
because apparently in 1996 there was a Mr. and Mrs. Smith TV show starring Scott Bakula and Maria Bello. So the Brad Pitt and Angelina one is a remake of that old TV show.
Huh. Would you look at that? I
Well,
was
yeah.
definitely clueless to this information.
Yeah, I actually just found out about that through like a random YouTube comment. I was scrolling through like the trailer for the TV show for Amazon Prime,
Mhm.
and yeah, the 2024 TV show is a bit more of a mixture of a combination of like the 1996 TV show and the movie.
Did you watch it?
But
Did you go and watch it?
I saw like like the first pilot episode on YouTube, not in good qualities. You can barely find that stuff anymore because, like,
Right.
again, not many people really know about that show since it only lasted like one season with only 13 episodes. But like only
Mm.
10 were released in America on TV. But then the last three was like broadcast outside the United States.
Huh.
So again,
Interesting.
and so then we're mostly just associating with like the Brad Angelina movie since that was
Right,
like
right.
it's like a major action blockbuster,
It's a
and
classic.
yeah, and also because that's also the movie that got Brad and Angelina together in the first place. But
That's right.
Brad Pitt cheated on the Rachel from Friends with Angelina. So
Yeah, I actually found that out last night because I started, I don't know. You know me. I dig a little deep into Hollywood and things like this. So I actually didn't know about this prior, and I just started looking, and that's when I found out. I was like, Y it's funny, what was I looking? I was looking up a different Jennifer, I think it was Lawrence, and Aniston came up, and I accidentally clicked on it, and when I saw her, for some reason, one of the headlines was, like, something about marriage or something, and I didn't know she had been married at one point, so I actually look up Jennifer Aniston marriage, and I saw that, and I was like, "She was married to Brad Pitt? Like, wow." And so then I see it ended in 2005, and I knew about Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's marriage, and I'm watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2005, and that says 2005. So then I go down this whole spiral to basically come to that conclusion. I didn't actually find anything that confirmed that she cheated. You kind of just confirmed for me. I assumed it was that case, but when you get divorced in the year and then meet this person that year and then you end up being with her for 14 years, then it's pretty obvious, you know? So I was like, wow. And so, anyways, all that to say, obviously, this is probably information a lot of people know. I am just new to it and it's kind of crazy, but you know me, I'm on team Jen Ann side. You know me, Rachel, all the way. Anyways, but interesting. I also didn't know about all this like this I guess that the 2005 version technically is a remake. I didn't know that at all. It's very interesting. Um but okay, cool. So well, as far as my excitement is concerned, I don't know if excited's the word. I think curious is the word. I was just curious, especially with Donald Glover. who I'm a big fan of. You know that we're fans of him. I think you're a fan of him as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I know. I'm mostly a fan of his from like the TV show Community, the comedy college TV
right,
show, which was
right,
like that was like my first introduction to him, and like he was like one of my favorite characters in there. And then of
hmm
course I knew about his TV show Atlanta and everything,
right.
but again I never seen episodes of Atlanta except like one episode. But like
Yeah, we
I
gotta
still
watch that.
like Donald Glover. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't know about you, but I still haven't seen Atlanta either. But I definitely want to. I need to get around to it. But I'm just a fan of him through Childish Gambino. I mean, that was like my elementary, middle school days, like just listening to Childish Gambino. So then once he started like acting, I'm like, hey, that's fine. But back to the main point. What were your general thoughts on the show?
Yeah, as I said before, I was like very intrigued in this, but I honestly was not expecting to really love the show as I got through it because, like, again, because I think what really strengthens this movie and why I think, like, in my opinion, it kind of goes above the Brad Angelina film version is because I'm kind of seeing Donald Glover and Maya Erskine's Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where there's a more natural and real authenticity to like the relationship and how they kind of just build and how it kind of like a drama film, but with the background of being like a spy thriller, and the world they're creating is like very grounded, and how each type of mission with every episode just kind of reflects and is kind of meant to show the progression of their relationship, and and it's really essentially there's like always something in every episode. This kind of shows like a kind of like foreshadowing or kind of like a mirror of what goes on later. So each episode kind of builds on itself and how it affects the relationship going forward. But honestly, yeah, I like the very good subtle spy action that they be doing. But the thing is, like the spy stuff wasn't the one that really made me love the show. It's just Donald Glover and Maya Erskine's chemistry together and like all their quiet moments together, which I really love. Which I can only say for like a spy show, I can. That's very rare for me to say because for when it comes to spy stuff, like James Bond or shit like that, I'm like all in on like the action and like seduction and everything. But like with this show, it really is like a good exploration of like a fake marriage, but like a partnership romance that just that also kind of shows of like people who are seem incompatible but choose to be together and compatible are part of the time and just kind of bounce off each other and kind of either improving each other and just kind of seeing a nice exploration of the relationship from like start to finish because like even the episodes themselves is like the start of like what a regular relationship would be like in normal ways. Each episode, like from like first date, first vacation, double date, episode and titles like that, which again really sells it for me as how I think like I really like this TV series honestly better than the movie just because like the chemistry and authenticity alone. Like that's it.
Hmm. Hmm. Very interesting. I think a lot of people might hear that take and might think you're crazy, but that's probably because they haven't seen it. Uh, I wouldn't say I disagree. I would just say I think they're just as good. There was still something special about the movie for me. But wait, before I go ahead with mine, what were your rating? What was your
Ah,
rating?
yeah, you're right. My rating 9 out of 10.
Mm, that's high, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
That's high. And that's high even for you because when it comes to spy movies, spy TV shows, anything spy related or action related, that's your bread and butter. So you're very picky when it comes to that. So for you to give something a 9, I mean, you truly, truly did enjoy it. Uh, but I did too. I did too. I think one thing, for without a doubt, I'm going to start here, that this TV show has that is a standout when it is compared to the movie is without a doubt the comedy. I'm literally physically giggling and chuckling in my bed watching this. Whereas when I watched the movie, there's a bit of times where you maybe a little smirk or whatever, but there's not really any true like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious type moments in it, you know. And it's and it's not cheesy, corny humor either. It's sophisticated in within the context of what is going on and everything, you know. So I truly did enjoy that aspect of it. I think that's a real standout for me. And I think you're right, man. The chemistry between uh Donald and Maya is supreme. I think it works very well. You really find yourself in a pickle for like rooting for them, but like knowing the situation makes that like impossible. So it's like and you know, we're probably even kind of edging the line here with spoilers. So I'll just say that I really, really enjoyed it. I think it was shot really, really well. I think the writing works fantastic in its favor. And on top of it all, I love the practicality that was placed. No unnecessary CG, everything practical, on location. This is what we want. We've been talking about this for a couple of episodes recently, and that's exactly what we got here. And I'm so over the moon about it. I mean, truly, it was like, honestly, you know, we've been talking about these shows, these movies recently, taking us out of the experience. If you would have
Yeah.
added a little bit of that aspect to this, bump it down to like a 5, potentially 6, potentially. And all that to say, my final rating, 8. I loved it. I thought it was solid. I thought it was great. The chemistry's there. The technical side of it's there. And the plot is there. And I also, really quick, which will lead us right into the spoiler territory, I love the way this world works versus the movie's world works, if you get what I'm saying. But we can dive a little bit deeper into that. Now, this was our spoiler-free section of the video. You have been warned. We're about to jump into spoiler territory. If you don't know how things work around here, we try to bring you guys videos at least once a week, sometimes more. So please make sure to hit the subscribe button because it really does help us out. So come join us on this journey as we bring you more videos. And if you like this video, hitting that thumbs up button on there really, really does help us out. So we'd really, really appreciate it. But now, with that being said, like I said, spoiler territory. It's the whole Mr. and Mrs. Smith like organization thing. Like there's
Yeah.
multiple Smiths type thing. I love that. That's
Yeah, me
amazing.
too.
Low
Yeah.
risk, high risk, super high risk, that whole tiers, like everything. I don't know. It's just really, it seems really, what's the term I'm trying to think of? It seems really fundamentally sound, that whole concept. Like you can
Yeah.
really take that so many different directions.
Yeah, and think
You
about it,
know?
even because even Smith, it's a very common name, and it helps the fact
For
that like
sure.
you really have no idea who could be a Smith because like they're like regular people. Because think about it, like with Mister and Mrs. Smith, you know, with Donald and Maya, they
Mhm.
really do look like just regular people. Like they have a unique background, but the thing is, they're kind of failures in those aspect part from their background, but
Mhm.
it's
Yep.
it shows their natural skill set. But then when you think about it, when it introduces like the other Mr. and Mrs. Smith from episode 4, we don't know their backstory, and they've been doing the job for 15 years. So like they could have just had like regular jobs, but then like years of doing the job just kind of made them very proficient or
Oh
experts.
yeah. No, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think in comparison to the movie where it's they each work for 2 separate companies, XYZ,
Mhm.
and that just be the bit. Again, at the time, it's a classic, like we said. But
Mhm.
now seeing this new way of going about it, I prefer it. I don't know. It adds a little bit more excitement. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know. I really liked it. I really liked the
yeah.
concept.
Yeah,
And
especially since like it leaves
oh, go
things
ahead.
like very yeah, because especially since it kind of leaves things like very expansive for like more wire storytelling, which you're gonna get into later when we get to talking about like the main ending for how the first season ended. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's actually my thoughts about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say that in contrast, outside of the actual uh the way the world within inside of it works, which we just compared the two difference, the actual structure of the either film or show itself was also different, and I once again prefer the TV show in the sense that you're gonna go in linear. Hi, we meet, we end with we die or whatever. We'll get into that, whatever. We hate each other, you know?
Mhm.
Whereas like in the movie, everything kind of kicks off with I hate each other, and we kind of
Yeah.
end with we love each. You know what I mean? Like it's just a little bit backwards in a sense where it feels a little bit more linear, and in the TV show, and then the movie feels a little more backwards when you look at it in that way, or vice versa. You could argue, of course, since 2005 was prior to 2024, but uh, again, I like the linear of it because it makes it feel. You know what it does? 2024 version actually makes it feel more, of course, spy action thriller vibes, naturally,
Mhm.
but it also actually adds true rom-com to it because it's linear. We meet, we fall in love, we break up, we try to kill each other, you know? So it's like, whereas like on the other side, we're already starting off in a happy life, give or take. You know, I mean, you start off in therapy, but you get what I'm saying. Whereas then we
Yeah.
lead to explosion and mayhem and going our two separate ways. You see what I'm saying? So I want to get your thoughts on those two differences and which one you prefer, or what you see there.
Yeah, honestly, I can see what you're saying because I think the best way to like really narrow this down because like the 2005 film, it just kind of goes like in a fast forward speed run to like, hey, we got to this point, we met, we're very both attracted, we found each other. It's intense, it's passionate. Whereas in like the 2024 series, it's actually we're getting the relationship from like start, middle, and finish, where it's really going to like every stage of a relationship, like any normal two people in a regular relationship. Because like in the movie, it's just kind of fast forward to where they're married and kind of like very stale, kind of standoffish with each other, and just kind of it have this whole issue of things they don't tell each other about, and that kind of leads to them, like wanting to kill each other, and them acting out against each other. Whereas in the series, they have a chance of where they do communicate with each other, but their issues and different personalities kind of conflict, and also kind of leads to character flaws within themselves or each other, where you can kind of imbalance things out or kind of impact a mission in some way. Because
Hmm.
like the movie has a very good balance of being dramatic, very good comedic, but also has a balance of creating this like realism in the aftermath and states of the relationship itself. Because
For sure.
each episode kind of perfectly encapsulates a stage in a relationship, where like as in like episode where like in episode 3, it's them having to like watch and spy on a couple who are like bitter and kind of close to falling out, and then also leads to them where they're close to falling out and just kind of establishing like types of rules of trusting with each other. And then we have episode 5 where the possibility of like John and Jane having kids, but then while in taking place of that, they literally have to take care of like this very important person and have to like secure his safety, and they kind of take the place of like watching a child.
Right. Right.
So like every episode just kind of really encapsulates the stage of a relationship, and like are then thing and kind of challenges them overall, which I really love. So I think in that way I kind of do like the series more than the movie, since we're kind of getting like the overall relationship experience, while as in the movie we're just kind of getting like the late stage that's already been passed through.
Yeah, and that that simply is just due to difference in format, right? Once a movie, once a TV show, you have a little bit. You have 8 hours versus about two. So
Mhm.
you get a little bit more time, a little bit more leeway to really character develop, extend, add more details, etc. etc. I mean, the things we already know when it comes to the difference between the two formats of TV show and movie. So, and I think that was expected. I think it's normal. Um, but I think honestly, one of see, okay, I was gonna ask you about this. Which one was the better, John and Jane? Like, in their duties.
Oof.
Separately, not, like, together.
And like in the way of comparing them from like the characters from like the movie or the series,
Yeah, like, which
or
one's
like
the better John, and which one's the better Jane? You know? Technically.
uh, tactically speaking, huh?
Dude,
That's kind of a
Jane
difficult. That's kind of difficult
2005
question.
Jane is hard, bro. 2005 Jane was a beast. 2005 Jane was better than 2005 John. I want to say that right now, in my opinion. Tactically, I will die on that hill, 100%.
I think I think
She
what I think
killed like 6 times as many bodies as him. We heard that 50 to he said 50 to 60. She's at like 300 whatever.
I think she had said it was like over 162. I think it
No,
was.
she said 300, and I forget the other 2 numbers. I watched this movie last night. I'm not.
Uh,
This is a fact. She said, I think it was like 350 something, whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, she's a beast.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of say that like the 2005 versions of John and Jane are technically more better than the ones from the 2024 series. But
Yeah,
I think
actually,
that,
both are. Yeah,
but I don't
because
think that's the right
2024 John
comparison.
has asthma.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's not the right comparison to make it for this one. I think it's more about like how like the 2024 version and 2005 version I like are very different, but the 2024 versions have like are kind of similar in some aspects. Where like where like 2005 Jane, she was like cold, efficient,
Yeah,
standoffish, walled up.
yeah,
Whereas 2024 Jane is the same, but like it's more of like but it's like more of like a personality or type of thing where
yeah.
where
She's
she
more. So, she's a sociopath.
yeah,
Yeah,
you could say that 2005 Jane is probably a sociopath or just very controlling. Because like again, even 2005 John literally said that everything always has to be like planned. There's no surprise. There's no spontaneity. I mean, and that's the same thing with
yeah,
2024 Jane. And also, again, both Johns 2024 and 2005, you know, they're a bit more expressive and just like more on the fly. Whereas, the Janes always are kind of complaining how like, you never keep me in the loop. We're never on plan as we should be. You always have to always try and change things up. We're never like in sync. And that's like that's a really good common thing in like both versions. So like they're very different people, but they share very similar characteristics wise. It's kind of a good comparison to make.
yeah. That's fair. Yes, I agree with you, 100%. Yeah. Uh, okay. Now, I must ask, what was your favorite episode in this TV show?
Oh man. Sheesh, man, it's hard to pick between like episode 6 and episode 8, but I also think I'm gonna go with episode 6 for when they were in therapy together because that
Mm,
one had like the good blend of like comedy with them being in therapy and just kind of going off against each other and like telling like each mission where they work together as like computer software engineers to their therapist, but also has like a lot of good comedic stuff where they're talking about each mission they were on. And also it has like really good emotional focus of the relationship and like they're kind of like things how where yeah their incompatibility shows up more and it's kind of causing strain in the relationship. Or
right.
because like literally in like the later part of episode 6 when they're together in the woods, like John and Jane just kind of just go off on each other, and
Oh
like
yeah.
John even more so talking about like how Jane just seems like cold, like a robot and everything, and how like she's just kind of going off on him, where he always tries to act to be better, and he's never thinks things all the way through. But again, and I also like this because like the episode has very good use of like the stage of there where they are in therapy, where it's like in the first session for therapy, it's like bright colors, they're very close, they're very intimate. but
Yeah.
after each session, they're more
Mhm.
distant from each other, and then like the color grading every time just goes down, where it's like just dark and empty, like their whole relationship is starting to fall apart. Because by their third session, they're like not even sitting in the same space, like they're across from each other from the couch and just wearing all black and like just not on the same page anymore.
Yep. Yep. I love that. I
Yeah,
love
so
that.
like yes, because like episode 6 is like the very good blend of everything that we like about this, from like, the drama, the comedy, the realism, the real chemistry and authenticity to a real relationship. Which again, also it's kind of a bit of a nice good callback to like in 2005, where they were also in therapy from like throughout the
Absolutely.
film from like beginning to
Yeah.
end.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. It's definitely an homage episode. Absolutely it is.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
like how in episode 8, that's also an homage, because like the whole entire like part of the episode was like them trying to kill each other. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
Jane literally tried to blow John up because she thought he killed his cat.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. No, yeah. Um well, for me, my favorite episode has to be episode 4, although those two that you just mentioned are they're definitely the best 3 episodes for me. Like the 2 you mentioned, episode 6 and 8, and then 4. But 4 is my favorite. It's the double date, right, with the other
Yeah,
Smiths, which was like our introduction to this web of
world of Smiths.
Smiths. Exactly, yeah. And also, I just think the banter, the conversation over dinner, the way they meet, like, it's just I don't know, it's a trip. And then to end it off with them going on this high risk mission, the face on Donald's, the face he had, the face they both had of just trauma. Like, dude, I literally rewinded and played it like 5 times. I was
Oh
dying
yeah,
laughing. It is
me too.
hilarious.
Yeah, I literally had to go back and rewind that scene from like start to finish, where they're literally
Yes.
in the jungle and they're literally about to get their heads chopped off, and they literally
Yes.
fought their way back out, but then just cuts away to their bloody faces, just like all just like still and like
And,
nonchalant. They like,
bro,
okay, that just happened. We just went
hey,
through this whole thing and we made it out. Like I'm speechless. And then like the other John and Jane call them on the
on
phone,
the
and they're
FaceTime. He has to sit there through the FaceTime. I'm dying. And he's like still on the phone, won't let me hang up while I'm really trying to blow my phone up right now because I don't want to hear this man's dude. Oh my
they did not want to talk to
hilarious.
them after literally leaving them on on the helicopter to fly
Not
to the
at all.
mission.
Not at all, bro. Oh my goodness. That was hilarious. To me, the funniest moment in the entire series. Like, it was literally so funny. I'm actually gonna go watch it again after we get done with this. But oh my goodness, yeah, without a doubt, I love that episode. I think it's hilarious. And I think it's also just a good, solid episode as well, regardless of that scene. But that scene really sells it for me. Like, it's just so funny. But 6 and 8 right behind it. Literally love it. Like, I think those are the 3 best episodes for sure.
Oh yeah,
Um,
but yeah.
Not to mention episode episode 1 was pretty special because that's where they meet too. But I mean, hey, they were all good. The only episode, like I said, I don't like is episode 5. Not my favorite. I don't hate it, but just not my favorite. Definitely my least favorite. And it's like a very noticeable dip in how much I like the other ones for me to call that one out. So that's why I say that.
Yeah, but I will do say that episode 5 is still a very good narrative for like the relationship
It's
stage, as I said
important.
before. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, very important.
absolutely. Yeah, the whole baby talk and all that.
Mhm.
So no, definitely important. I'm just saying, I just didn't. I wish the stuff going on around and outside of their relationship was different, more exciting, something else. I don't know what the word is, but something like that. I found the guy that they were picking up and had to transport or whatever was kind of a dud. Just brought nothing to me. So like the only life the episode had for me was those relationship pieces that you speak of. The rest was borderline useless to me, basically, is what I'm saying.
No.
So, I mean, there's some good action, that's for sure. But, anyways, do you have anything else to say about Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2024?
Yeah, I actually do have one other thing. What I do like about this one, and like, because like again, 2005 film, they have like John and Jane at like they're like the most efficient killers from like their respective agencies that they work for. But what I like about 2024 is that like these Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they're not really that much of, they're not really fully experts exactly, because like for episode 1 and other forward, they do tend to mess up. Whereas like in 2005, they always had like plans that actually work, even if it was on the fly. But on the 2024, it's more realistic, since like they're paired together on like a mission with things where they don't know the full details and kind of like make it out on their own, and they're just kind of on the fly, where nothing's really planned and they're just kind of like just on the go. But over time in episodes, they do get better, but it still kind of falls under the same thing. So like it still really shows that they are, not total badasses, but like just regular people like trying to do this, like, trying to be badasses in this badass type work.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually just remembered, I agree with you on everything you said, by the way, but I actually just remembered one last thing. The ending. What were your thoughts about the ending?
Man, with episode 8, the finale, I just want to say overall that like that I still consider like probably like my second favorite episode, because the kind of big homage to them finally getting to that climactic point that I'm sure most people who were fans of the 2005 version wanted to see, which is
Right.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith trying to kill each other, which I thought was excellent work. Especially like where that whole scene where they're like shooting at each other and fighting each other inside the house with all those guns. I love that scene in both this series and in the movie. I loved it.
Yeah, it's iconic to the name.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the ending. It was the ending. I was not really expecting the ending. I was like completely shocked with how how the final moments just kind of ended with like these like a shot outside the window of their house, but then just like flashes of light from the gunshots, and then we get into like Paul Dano's character, literally just called Hot Neighbor. But it's like, I mean, honestly, I don't even think he's that hot, really, honestly. But
he's not.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But yeah, damn, we just got like this shot of him inside John and Jane's house, but like a whole mess, and then just abruptly ends. But like, I can't say I hated it. It was shocking, yes, but to me, the ending really made sense from like everything that happened in past episodes that kind of foreshadowed it. Because like in the beginning of episode 1, we had like another John and Jane, but like they were on the run, but they chose to stop running, and they just chose to defend themselves. But ultimately, they ended up dying. And then also in episode 8, we found out that super high risk for John and Jane Smith is killing other Smiths, which really makes sense, because like facing another Smith, that really is the most dangerous, since he had like the same level skill set that makes them so good at their jobs.
Right.
But I think also this is probably a good fitting conclusion, where like I see the ending as like where both John and James died in that house, and it kind of opened, and also is kind of like a good emotional finish for like Donald and Maya, John and Jane Smith, where after all this time of them like fighting everything, trying to kill each other, all in all, they really did like love each other and want to spend their lives together like real authentically. And they were also probably like the most open with each other they've ever been, because we had the scene where they were on that truth serum, and then also Jane revealing what her real name is to John, which also shows her like bringing down her walls, being defensive, and just being open and one with him, which is what he's always wanted and what she's always wanted. And them just going out together, since John was bleeding out and he was just dying, he was going faint, and then only both Janes were the ones left alive. So it's kind of a good fitting into like the John and Jane story for these characters. And I don't know if they're going to have a season 2 plan, but if they do have another season, it just kind of opens up to like go and focus on like another John and Jane Smith. But I don't want them to get really repetitive, so it kind of works if the next John and Jane Smith were like they were like married, but they kind of tend to be more like either like friendly or have like a good mutual partnership, or they can be like competitive. It kind of opens up the door to kind of have like a new different dynamic relationship with every other Smith. But then also I'm kind of thinking like where like, fans are probably gonna hate that way, but like, if they hate what this whole season was, then they're probably gonna hate any other season. But like, you just gotta learn to be more open about it. But yeah, that's also the way I see it. The ending was shocking, but it was really great for me and probably the most emotional because, like, we watched these two with a relationship like for over 8 episodes, and them seeing them like this, like we didn't want them to die. We want them to be together.
Right.
So we were just as involved and invested in this relationship as they were in theirs, which I think it just makes it really solid and authentic, more so than 2005 movie version.
Well, I will agree with that. However, I can't. I can't do it. I can't. Like, I need some finality to it. Like, and look, I understand where you're coming from, and you're right. You actually are right. I recognize that. I do actually see it the way you do when it comes to the brain. But my heart, I hate it. I hate it. I want to know. I want to know. Are they dead? Are they alive? Are they on the run right now? Are they, you know what I mean? I don't know. I want to know. And like, we could probably assume they're probably dead. But I don't know, like, I want to see it happen. I don't know. Again, I'm very, very, very picky about open-ended endings. Extremely picky. It's not easy to win me over when it comes to open-ended endings. It really all depends on the execution, the moment, and what exactly you're putting an open-ended ending in. And that was just not the moment for me. And it was like the least expecting thing for me. So I stared at the TV when the credits rolled like this for like at least 5 minutes, just like this. But it is what it is, I mean, hey, hopefully it's season 2. Although I will say, when it comes to the ending of the 2005 version, I love it. You know what? He talking about hey,
Yeah, ask
Brad's
us a
such a
sex
G.
question again.
He said, ask us the sex question again. Then literally, yo, he is such it's just funny, man. It's funny.
Yeah,
It's funny.
yeah.
And what's funny about it is because we've seen the progression by that point, and we've seen how passionate they finally got at a certain point once they really found out who they really were. And so then he went back to the therapist talking about,
Yeah.
oh man, Brad's a dog. Oh man.
Oh yeah. But I think after all of this, I think I have like really good and important question. Like, if you had to do the same as like John and Jane, would you choose to actually be a Smith, given what the whole stakes of the job is and everything?
Let's start with, am I skilled enough to do it?
Honestly, I don't even know how the process for that went, because I don't know if they either had
They
gone
don't
through a bit of
train you.
training. Well,
No,
maybe they did, maybe they
they
don't.
come from CIA. They come from an experienced enough background. I
Yeah,
am in school. I can't, I don't, So let's assume I have a similar background. Let's just do that for
I
the
mean,
sake of discussion.
my background is probably close to Donald Glover's. It's close to Donald Glover's, John. Honestly, my
Fair
background a
enough.
little bit.
Yeah. No. I think it's like once you say yes, there's going to be most likely an early ending to your life.
But yeah, it's either that or like what John and Jane who were together for like 15 years. It's either it's either that or that.
But they
Honestly,
still die earlier than they
yeah,
would if they didn't have this job. Is my point.
true.
I mean, unless
Honestly,
they get sick or whatever. But
yeah. Honestly, I think I'd do it.
I'm sure you would. I'll just leave it at that. I could say more right now, but I'm choosing not to. But I also see you doing that very well. And hey, you don't look like a half bad Donald Glover yourself. So hey, boom.
Hey, people are still look like Jonathan Majors, so it's a good step up.
Yeah.
Although I think right now
About a year ago, that was a flex for you.
yeah, but
Now
now
it's like you hope nobody notices.
yeah,
Yeah. But anyways, anything else on Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2024?
Honestly, this one thought did come across me. I was watching the episodes. In a way, it's kind of like a really messed up compatibility dating matchup type of service. In a way, just doing
wow.
spy work in addition.
Yeah. Because you gotta make it work somehow.
Yeah.
And wow, that is interesting. But see, that's what I'm saying. I would do it if it didn't involve like that. Oh, they're coming after us, and we're gonna. You know what I mean? Like, you can't escape it. You can't just like one day be like, I'm done. You know. But
yeah,
that is an interesting point. I like that. You're right. It's such a cool I don't know. It's such a cool concept the way they set it up.
yeah. See, I
It
like how
really
they
is.
do this. I like how they did like different type of exploration into this and kind of expanded that world and everything, which makes it different from the movie, but still kind of has like the similar takes into it, but just kind of redefined, re-edited, mixed kind of a mix.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2024, 2 thumbs up from us. For sure. Go watch it if you haven't. Amazon Prime, right? Amazon Prime, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Certified, I think. Let us know your thoughts if you haven't seen it. We're interested to hear. I know it's controversial, you don't mess with a classic, or whatever. So go watch it yourself and tell us how you feel about it. We're curious. We would like to know. Let's engage. Tell us how you feel about it. But if you're new around here, we try to bring you guys videos at least once a week, sometimes more. So please make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you could join us on this journey as we bring you guys more videos. And if you did like this video, make sure to let us know by hitting that thumbs up button down there, because again, it really does help us out. And that will be it. We will see you guys very soon. This was the Big Screen Show. Peace out.